I'm Ido Zmishlany. I'm a writer-producer here at Universal Music Publishing and have worked with a lot of amazing artists, everyone from Shawn Mendes to Camila Cabello, Demi Lovato. My dad, growing up kind of played lots of instruments around the house. I kind of started out in high school, like being in a band. So I had just high school friends. I did that for a while and, we had a great run. And then I sort of started this sort of solo project where I brought friends around me. And that was kind of also the start of my producer career, because it was like I was making records that had a really sort of distinct sound, but they were still pop. There were times where, like, I remember there was a label that came to me and said, hey, we really want to use this song for some artist. And I was like, no, I'm putting this song out next week. What are you talking about? And then friends who were around the New York scene would sort of come to me and be like, hey, I really like your record. Who produced it? Can you connect me? And I'd be like, well, I did it. They're like, oh, cool. Do you want to do a writing session? And I was like, sure, what's that? I think the turning point for me where things started getting interesting, I'd written a song with a buddy of mine, Scott, from high school, and we wrote this song. We'd been kicking around for 8 or 9 months, and we had played it for a bunch of people that we knew in the industry. And then fast forward, we meet this kid, Shawn Mendes, who had just come to New York and meeting his now manager for the first time. Shawn recorded the song called Life of the Party. And we kind of continued to work with him, and then a couple months later, the song comes out, and sure enough, the song goes #1 in the first 10 minutes. And I remember turning to my now wife and being like, all right, that's weird. Okay, and go about my day like everything's normal. And I remember that being a turning point, because all of a sudden people were a little nicer to me, and a little more interested in what other songs I had. And I was like, oh, things are changing. That element of surprise of all right, what's going to happen this next time when the song gets released? I try not to focus on it now because I know too much. The main thing that sort of excites me about an artist or writers, or just even a session in general, it's okay, we start the day with, especially if it's somebody new, all right, I'm getting to know you, let's get comfortable, let's figure this out, right? So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is, all right, let's get into it. You're at that place where you're like, okay, I'm gonna play, and not every idea that I play is gonna be good. There's a moment where everybody just knows that you just did something great. That moment where the session turns and you all look at each other and smile and laugh, and it's like, yes, that's it, woo! How do I know a song is done? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm working on it endlessly and want to forever keep tweaking and getting it right. Usually someone on my team is like, you got it. You figured it out. Don't touch it. That's the right balance. And you save it as, okay, version number 8 is great. Cool, let me save that. And oh, it'd be interesting if this happened. And you do it, and you do it, and then you listen back and you compare it to that version 8, and you're like, man, I still didn't beat it. I guess this is the version. You don't finish a record, you give up. And it's usually because we're programmed to, as songwriters and as producers and as creative people, we're so interested in making something great. And so in order to make something great, you've got to chip away. You got to chip away at the finite details. And those finite details are what makes something just bulletproof. At a certain point, you just go, I don't know how to make it any better. If you know how to make it better, you should probably do it. If you don't know, cool, you're done. What is my sound? I think, first of all, every day I'm working to find something new and exciting to me. But when you ask me what my signature sound is, it's more well, what's the project? What's right for that artist? I know the tricks. I study music. I listen to what's going on and how people are making records, and I want something that makes me flip the switch. Why is this interesting? I know you did last summer kind of as a funny story. I had worked a bunch with Shawn previously. So I went to go see him perform, and he was opening for Taylor Swift. Shawn had previously toured with a not so well-known Fifth Harmony at one of their first tours, as Shawn was just right before this Taylor tour. Camila and Allie were also backstage when I went to go say hi. And we're hanging out, and Shawn summons me over and goes, dude, check out this new guitar that I got. And he started sort of strumming something. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And Camila, who's just also a fan of music, also kind of comes over and she's like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, I don't know, but that's a cool riff. you got any ideas? In that moment, I was just like, that would be cool. So we're backstage. I'm not thinking this is a writing session. I'm just like, I don't know, let's see what happens. But I also think, oh, that's interesting. We sort of start singing, and I think we're all looking at each other like, are we writing a song right now? Camila starts singing some sort of riff about like, I know, and in my mind I go, what is that? I need a title. Like, what does that mean? I know what you did last summer. And they're like, yeah, okay, yeah. So then they keep singing it. And I'm like, no, guys, you don't understand. I know what you did last summer. Like, you know, like the movie from the 90s, like, it's so good. Like, what a cool title for a song. And I don't think they had ever seen the movie. So they were like, okay. And I was like, can we please just keep that? They're like, okay, fine. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, what do we write about? And Camila goes like, oh, it should be like kind of like the relationship. And I know what you did last summer, like you cheated on me. Brilliant. So we sort of start writing it. I'm voice noting all this on my phone. So it's not like I'm there prepared to write a song and produce a song. We hang out for a little while longer, and then everybody goes on their way. Somebody pulls Shawn to do some interview or something, I don't know. Session ends. I get home and I bring all of my voicemail notes and I send them to my email from my phone, and I line them up in Pro Tools. And I have this like 45-minute long thing, and I was like, actually, this is pretty good. And I called up Shawn's manager and connected with Camila, and we said like, while you guys are still in town, maybe we should do a session and see if we can kind of get this song actually recorded. And so we did. Next night, they came in. We worked till like 4 o'clock in the morning because they both had to leave at a certain point. You know, I wanted to just get the essence of that back and forth. They're two amazing artists, you know, right on the brink of becoming superstars. And I think it kind of speaks to like my process in the studio. So I was like, all right, let's like, you know, make the studio really dark and have a mood. You know, we had to like tweak the lyrics and the lines, but we did it in a way where it was just, they were on the mics and they were looking at each other. And so I think that's such an important part of how the song got written, because if you listen back, there are certain lines where it's like, where they say opposite words, because it's almost like they're having a conversation at each other. And it like kind of happened by accident, and we're like, that's kind of dope, like we should keep that. Looking back on it, it was like, it's sort of so crazy because it seems like such a pivotal song for Camila, sort of, you know, making a transition, and for Shawn just kind of continuing on the path, and such an incredible moment to be a part of. And I think at the time I was just like, I don't know, this could be cool. And even to like speak to your question earlier, you still get excited about the things that happen. Like, yeah, because like you could literally go to some show and get back and have like a top 10 record. Like, who knew? And that could happen literally any day I walk into the studio.